There's a book called Banish Burnout Toolkit. I didn't see but I assume it's there somewhere. Banish Burnout Now. The author is Janice Litvin, and she is with us today. Have people not been, getting burned out on jobs forever? And don't they then just go find another job, or what? Janice?
Yes. Oh, hi. Hi, Jerry. Jake told me he'd be popping in first. I'm so sorry. Yes. Stress has been around for a long time. I remember back in the 80s having stress management workshops. But the problem now is that it's not so simple as just stress. People are exhausted emotionally. They aren't working as creatively as they used to. The younger generation wants to find a lot of meaning and purpose in their work. It's not like our parents' generation, which said, you don't need to like your job, you just need to do your job. You'll like going to the bank. The times have changed, so it's the impact of the new generation, partly.
You know, as you were saying you'll like your job when you go to the bank, I was thinking, yeah, that sounds just like my mom.
Yeah.
I wanted to do what I'm doing now for years before I did it. I had my own security and alarm company. I was in the tavern business, did all kinds of things, but this is what I really wanted to do. And I just, I would get bored doing the other stuff. This I've been doing for over 20 years, having the time of my life, and absolutely love it. Isn't that what most people do? You do it, you get bored, you go on, you try something different, that doesn't work, you go find something else? Doesn't that solve the problem?
Well, yes and no. The problem, I could regale you with many stories of my life where I went from thing to thing. Briefly, I'll tell you the story of my being a computer programmer when I first graduated from college. My mother, again, another story from my mother. She taught me the most important thing you do when you graduate from college is you better be able to find a job. So she taught me to get a technical degree. I became a computer programmer, hated it, and quit my job after 4 years to become a dancer, which drove both my parents crazy, and loved that work. As you can imagine, it was my dream job. The problem is the jobs were few and far between. So I came back to the software world and did a number of jobs and then started one business and now started this business. But some people, it's not a matter of getting bored. It's a matter of getting piled upon one pile of work after another when you haven't finished the first pile of work. So I think, if you remember back in the early days of Apple, where people had cots in their cubicles so they could work till midnight, sleep there, wake up at 7 in the morning and go right back to work before the days of working from home. And unfortunately, people are just not taking it anymore. They're saying, I'm fed up, I'm exhausted emotionally, I need time at home, not thinking about work.
Yeah, I suppose those wimps do that. No, I'm just kidding. Just so that we can kind of get an understanding here. Banish Burnout Toolkit. Is that going to teach me how to cope or how to move on?
Both. It teaches you how to understand why you react the way you do, which might be from your upbringing, inappropriate behavior, being role modeled. Maybe you had a very critical, negative parent or teacher or friends on the schoolyard who were always abusing you. But it teaches you how to understand that not everything is such a big deal. Like, I used to make a really big deal every time I had a negative conversation with somebody. Stuff happens. We get rear-ended on the freeway, we shake it off, and we move on. We can't let every little thing throw us into reverse. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And so it's about teaching us how to recognize our reactions and change our thoughts, which changes our feelings and our behavior. And the other thing I'm sorry. The other thing I teach is how to set healthy boundaries, how to push back without saying no.
So these are coping mechanisms.
Yes, that's true.
Saying no. My wife is one of those people who has a very difficult time saying no. And as a result, she's on the board of directors here, and she's teaching there, and she's doing
Right.
speech pathology someplace else, and then... I'm constantly stunned. You said you do what? You volunteered for what?
Yeah, right.
Should know how to say no, man. I should get your book. What is it about those people that don't say no? Because it frustrates her.
First of all, Gary, in her defense and everybody else, we weren't taught how to say no, especially women. Now, I'm not going to make this whole thing a women's thing, but we were raised differently. I see it in my husband. He can push back till you're blue in the face and get his way. And it serves him well as a technical recruiter. Women are not taught to push back and say no. Women are taught to take care of everybody, be nurturers, handle everything, and do everything. And there is some pride, you might say, for being the one that helps everybody. The problem is the women burn out first because they forget to take care of themselves. And so it's a matter of a skill, just like learning how to ride a bike. Of course, it's not that simple, but it's a skill. So instead of saying, no, Miss Boss or Mr. Boss, I can't do your new project, you're going to burn me out, there's a way to say, yes, I would love to work on this new project. Which of my other projects would you like me to back burner?
So this toolkit includes communication skills.
Absolutely, yes. And it's a workbook. So all of these ideas come with exercises and things to do and a place to write down your answers. Even an electronic fillable PDF, which I'm going to send you as soon as we hang up the call.
Send that right to my wife. So,
yes.
What a great line. What do you want me to put on the back burner while I'm doing this? What if they say, nothing, you should be doing all of this. You should be getting this done.
Well, then that's a bigger conversation. That requires a sit-down, like what I would call a real sit-down. Let's map out my day. Let's look at all the millions of responsibilities I have, and let's look at how much time it takes to get each thing done and how I organize my day. I'm already working from 9 to 9 or 9 to 7 or whatever it is. I get home exhausted. My partner's complaining because I don't have any emotional energy left for him or her, and I'm exhausted, and I am going to burn out. Now, I love my job. Of course, you never want to threaten, but you want to make it clear that there are a lot of other jobs out there.
I'm definitely going to send that PDF to my wife. No, she comes home, and I try to be the dutiful husband, and she just unloads. And it's like... And I think now when I was when she worked for the university, and she would do this, I would say, "Do you want to quit? Are you unhappy with your job?" No. And she just wanted to unload. So I decided I wasn't going to be the problem solver. I was just going to be the earpiece.
Right, that's right.
And it reminds me of the Peanuts cartoon when Lucy just lets loose. And that's the way she gets. And I think, well, she needs to do what you're talking about. She needs to sit down and explain, this is what I'm doing all day.
Right.
What do you want me to give up?
And you want the best of me. You want the most creative, whatever her first name is, let's call her Susan. You want the best Susan you can get, the most creative. Here's what it's going to take to get the best of me. Not working Saturday and Sunday, not receiving emails all weekend long with the expectation of returning them, and not working more than a reasonable work day.
Yeah, She does all that, by the way. She works on the weekends, gets emails on the weekends, responds to them. I am definitely getting her Banish Burnout Toolkit.
Well, the other thing I would say to her, and I don't know her personally, I'm just meeting you for the first time, self-care, and when I talk about self-care, I'm not talking about physical self-care. We all know what that is. I'm talking about mental health self-care. And if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be there for your job or anybody else.
Yeah, I'm telling you, she just comes home frustrated and unloads for about 20 minutes and then, starts to feel better. But no more advice from me. She doesn't want to quit. And
No.
I don't think that's the solution. But taking care of herself is. When you get to that point where the boss is not breaking, not changing their demands, is there a point where you say, okay, that's it, here's the towel?
Yes, there is. If you have let's call that a toxic situation. And by the way, there's two sides to burnout. One is what we've been talking about, understanding yourself, learning how to change your behavior and change your thoughts. Now, let's say you're perfect at all that. You've worked the workbook and you understand how to push back and convert your thoughts from negative to positive. And you go to work and the boss, I'll use polite language, the boss is not a nice person and creating a toxic environment, and you've communicated your needs and that it's not happening, then it's time to leave, sadly.
And you should, I assume there's some internal mechanism that tells you this isn't changing. I've had it. It's time.
Yes. Well, everybody has their limits. Some people will quit on the first sign of a problem, and some will put up with things for a long time, years, right?
Yeah.
Haven't you seen people stay in bad relationships for years?
Yep, I have indeed. Yes, I have.
It's the same thing.
All right, you and I kind of jumped right into this. A terrible way for a guy to run an interview. I need to talk a little bit more about what you are and who you are.
Okay.
So people know that you're an award-winning corporate wellness speaker, certified virtual presenter. What is recertification provider?
There's a very large human resources organization called SHRM, SHRM, Society for Human Resources Management, and they have certified me as a recertification provider, which means every workshop I do, no matter where I go and who I speak to, any human resources professional, the audience gets continuing education credits. Just like doctors and lawyers need CECs or CEUs, the same is true for human resources professionals.
So you're used to dealing with bosses who keep applying pressure and employees who keep, feeling pressed by them?
Yes. As a matter of fact, back when I was a recruiter for 20 years in Silicon Valley, the good news was that every time someone quit, it was another opening for a job order for me. Not that I found delight in companies that burn people out. And I would say to managers, you can only push people so far. If you want the best of people, you have to show them that you care. You have to be flexible with your workloads and deadlines. You have to give them as much control over their work as possible. And you have to listen. You have to support them. You have to show them that you care.
That all makes sense to me. Banish Burnout Toolkit. Where can you get that? Can you only get that at JaniceLitvin.com, or is that available at Amazon?
Everywhere. Anywhere you want to shop. Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, JaniceLitvin.com, and everywhere else you like to buy books.
Okay. It's Banish Burnout Toolkit. I wish you the greatest luck and success in this book, and I hope that it helps lots of people under stress. Before I go, I got to know, Broadway dancer, ballet dancer?
Yes, all. And it's circuitous. This is another long story. I'll make it very brief. Circuitously, I I brought myself to this work by becoming a Zumba fitness instructor, which led me to rekindling my love of professional speaking and doing workshops.
Wow. Best of luck to you, Janice. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Gary. I loved it.